Hey guys, what's up? As you can see in the title, this video is just going to be a quick reference for non-polyglots who don't really understand what exactly it is that us polyglots do as a hobby. And I mean, it's understandable, constant academic self-torture doesn't sound that appealing to most of the population, but we're just built different and it's enjoyable for us, we get it. So here I'm just going to quickly define what exactly we are and what we mean when we talk about languages we speak. Let's go! So first off, what exactly is a polyglot? Well, the definition is a bit flexible depending on the context and the opinions of the person saying it. The basic idea behind it is a person who speaks a lot of languages. But how many? According to one chart I saw a long time ago and remember very well even though I don't remember where I saw it, at least 6. Below that, you'd just be considered multilingual. But that rather academic definition isn't normally how I hear the word being used. Most of the time, it means more like that we like studying languages as a hobby. And this makes sense with the numbers just given because from my experience, you can only get above 5 if you're actively teaching yourself languages just because you enjoy it. Most of the people I know who speak like 2 to 4 languages, for example, have some kind of situational reason for it, like it has to do with their job, they've lived around the world, they have immigrant parents or immigrated themselves, or are otherwise part of a linguistic minority in their country. This doesn't necessarily mean they enjoy learning languages, they just got naturally exposed to those languages. Polyglots, on the other hand, know more than that because we dedicate our own time to the craft, and we don't necessarily need to know the languages for our everyday lives. Okay, so now I gotta explain probably the thing that's most misunderstood about polyglots. What exactly we mean when we answer your question about how many or which languages we speak. Cause like, if you, as a non-polyglot, have ever asked a polyglot how many languages they speak, you almost certainly didn't get a straight answer out of them. And that's because the languages we know simply can't be summed up in one solid number. You see, polyglots don't know all their languages to an even level. Most of us have about 3 or 4 languages that we use routinely and so are always active and we can speak them on demand. I call these the big 3, and mine are English, my native language, Spanish, a language I grew up around, and Hebrew, my ethnic language that I also grew up around but couldn't really speak until high school, with French in a 4th place of wavering distance. But for the rest of them, we'd need to refresh our memories for anywhere from a day to a week if we were actually going to have a conversation in them, and this accounts for literally the rest of the languages we know. So this leaves us in a tough situation. If someone asks me how many languages I speak, I don't really want to say 4, because then I'd be shortchanging myself in terms of how much I'm really capable of, but I don't want to say 19 either, because then I'd feel dishonest. So, long answer it is. And if I ever do get to the point of interrogation where I need to put up a large figure like 19, the current number, I'll word it that I've studied that many languages. That way I can manage the expectations on myself and not feel like a liar. Like, I've studied Amharic, for example. I can say that honestly, I can explain a lot of the grammar and know a lot of the words, but I couldn't hold a conversation in Amharic for the life of me, at least not around now. So, how do polyglots talk to each other about it? I'd say this can be exemplified nowhere better than at a convention for polyglots. I went to Polyglot Gathering this past summer, and we'll go back next summer, and all of us got name tags that had our name, country, and then our languages listed in 4 rows, along with some other coded messages for like which meals we'd signed up for and such. The rows of languages were according to the standard European countries use for language proficiency, with N for our native language, or languages, and then C, B, and A in decreasing level of proficiency for second languages. And it worked perfectly. Whenever we met someone, we just showed them our name tags, they showed theirs back, and now we have all the information we need about them, including the level we speak each of those languages to. Now, of course, all of us had several ghost languages where we didn't even put them on our name tags so that we'd never be expected to speak them because we felt no confidence in them whatsoever. But this system was great. It made it insanely easy to get the real answer about how many languages a person spoke, which could never be chalked up to just a simple number. I still keep a picture of my name tag on my phone months after the event for when people ask me how many languages I speak. But outside of learning languages itself, what else do polyglots enjoy? Well, I mean, most of us aren't completely one-dimensional, we have other unrelated interests. I, for one, really enjoy astronomy, geography, and baseball, among other things. But what does becoming a polyglot lead to? Well, as I've seen, there are 2 paths this could lead to, linguistics and conlanging. For me, I would always try my hardest to learn the systems behind the languages and try to science them out, and this obviously led to me being into linguistics. Although you could technically say that I was into linguistics first, since my origin story as a polyglot is that I was absolutely owning Spanish class, found the grammar interesting, and realized that every language has rules like that I could learn, and so I decided to learn as many as possible. And since a lot of the languages I was learning were related, I liked seeing how they evolved and such, which is how my main interest became historical linguistics. And all this seems like a very natural progression, so I was a bit surprised to find out that not every polyglot knows that much about linguistics. Some of us actually got more into making languages of our own, i.e. conlanging, i.e. making artificial languages. Seeing as I have zero interest in conlanging whatsoever, this seemed weird to me until I actually thought about it and realized that conlang is a huge part of fantasy worlds and such, which is something else I've never really been into. But for polyglots who are into fiction, it's actually a perfectly ordinary progression of interest. Maybe some of them even liked fictional works with conlangs in them, like Star Trek or Lord of the Rings first, and then that led them to liking languages. Comment if that was your progression. But of course, polyglots don't have to choose between linguistics and conlanging. They could also do both or neither. Realistically, there are as many ways to be a polyglot as there are polyglots. So that's it, just a short explanation about who we are. If you're one of my normal viewers, then you probably knew all this, but nonetheless, comment below if you want to add anything or talk about your experience with languages and like if you like linguistics or conlanging and such. But if you just came here to learn what we are, or I sent you this video out of frustration or something like that, I hope you enjoyed it and learned a bit about polyglots, especially the part about not expecting a straight numerical answer when you ask how many languages we speak. Thanks for watching.